Welcome back to Fantasy Poolies Sports Talk. First off, big shout out to all of you listeners out there. We really appreciate all the messages, the DMs, the shout outs in person when we see you. Over 100 and I think maybe now even 140,000 views on our Instagram content over the last 2 weeks since we kicked this off. So the support has been unreal and we're just getting started. So if you haven't yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the download, the follow. We're everywhere you can find us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Some say, Penna, you haven't been able to walk outside anymore. Is that true?
Yeah, it's when I go to my regular grocery store run, I have to wear a baseball cap and sunglasses in order to move around in the streets of Maple. So I just appreciate all the support. It's really nice, I think people appreciate just a group of guys just talking footy. So thanks to everyone. I really appreciate it, and we really appreciate it.
How many people say, "Can I come on the podcast?" I get that one steady.
I think I've gotten maybe 42 people
Yeah, I'm
asking for
close.
the
I'm
invite
close
to
to
the
that.
pod.
We're gonna
Wait,
do a sign up sheet like Bart does on Sundays. We're gonna post it at
yes.
at 1 p.m.
We are
every
gonna do that.
Monday, and then it closes at 1:10.
Now they gotta pay, eh? People gotta pay now.
I even saw Barb's the other day at outside the restaurant, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you come play on Sundays?" I'm like, "I'm broken, man. I'm broken." He's like, "It's crazy. The sign up sheet is crazy. It gets filled up in like 2 seconds."
It's
Yeah,
funny
Jokey
'cause
Deli.
the sign up. It's funny because the
all
sign up sheet is like making its ways around, but the group has like over 100 guys. So like, it makes sense that there's people fighting for 20 spots, right? And now we're gonna transition to outdoor, so that should be even worse. So we'll see.
All right, guys, we got a stacked episode lined up today. We're going to talk La Liga's wild weekend, a drama-filled weekend over in La Liga. The Premier League battle for top four and specifically that four spot is very much up for grabs. That the Serie A race keeps delivering, even though Juve doesn't. We'll save
Grande
that
Juve.
for stop. Don't start. Don't start. And we'll talk Nations League. Nations League coming up this week. We're on international break. Canada is taking on Mexico on Thursday. And then we'll talk some UEFA Nations League with Italy set to take on Germany and some other amazing matchups over in Europe. And then we'll finish off with our half-volley hot takes. Capello coming for Pep. Jonathan David's next move. And is Red Bull Juve on the horizon? So let's get into it. La Liga this weekend, guys, was the definition of drama, I think, Penna. Comebacks, big goals, and the title race is heating up. So let's start with the big three. Barca, what a thriller they were in. Down 2-0, last 15, 20 minutes of the game, come back, storm back 4-2, Ferran Torres leading the way. Madrid, Real's narrow win over Villarreal, which keeps them in the title race. And Atlético title hopes pretty much dented at this point with the loss to Barca on the weekend. So I guess that's my first question, Penna, before we hear you sing the praises of your Barcelona. Is La Liga a two-horse race at this point, or still an outside chance for Atletico to get back into this?
I did mention that last week that I thought it would end up being a two-horse race with Atletico dropping out. So I will stick with that. I will say them being eliminated from Champions League will obviously help in their cause for a league push. Obviously, Barca and Madrid will have big plans of deep runs into the Champions League. So just having that, just so many games in such a tight window will obviously affect Barca and Real. So I'm not counting Atletico Madrid out entirely still, even though I do think it'll be a two-horse race. The fact that they'll be focusing entirely on La Liga will help them. And Barca already kind of got hindered by the schedule of the remake, which I don't know if you guys saw, but yeah, the league has, I don't know how this is possible, but the league has decided to play the makeup game before the players even come back from the international window. So Rafinha will not be playing in the Osasuna game. So I don't know how a league can decide that, but that's the decision that's been made. So
According to our DMs, sorry to interrupt. According to our DMs and comments on our Real posts, people going back and forth. La Liga is a Barca league, is a Madrid league, and so they wield the power. And
Yeah.
is there any hint of
Well,
foul play here?
I
You
mean,
think?
when have you guys ever heard of a league playing a remake before the players come back from international duty?
Yeah, it's shady.
It's the definition of shady, but I mean the team with the money bags keeps on getting what they want, I guess. But yeah, so the players come back from international duty, they play on the 27th, and then they have a turnaround and play again on the 30th. So and then they have Champions League after. So
Envy these players these days.
right?
The schedule is
So that's
just
why
so jam packed.
my point of Atletico being out of Champions League will definitely help them because now they can just focus entirely on that. Where Madrid and Barca will want to make deep runs and they'll have to kind of play through the starting 11, which, to be honest with you, Barcelona, incredible comeback, but it was aided by the Atletico Madrid, the 120 minutes played midweek, because you saw that Atletico Madrid, the wheels just completely fell off. Simeone with the interesting sub of taking off Alvarez, I guess, with the amount of energy that guy plays, playing 120 on Wednesday and then having to turn around and play Barca, I guess he just thought he wouldn't have enough legs. But what a comeback from Barca, man. Hansi Flick special, Ferran Torres sub, just completely changed everything.
What were you doing when this was happening? Give us a live play-by-play rundown.
Well, at first, when Sorloth scores to make it 2-0, I am not in a good headspace.
Are you live lining?
I don't know if we could speak about that, Lou, but
Oh, not me. I'm asking you if you're live lining.
I mean, there may have been something put in. Yeah, so I'm watching at my couch. Sorloth also always scores against Barca. Like, he literally just comes in and always scores. I mean, tap in, but
Good
so I'm
action,
there,
though.
and I'm thinking, I still think we have a chance, just because I knew their legs were going to fall.
Here we
At some
go.
point, they were going to run out of legs. Did I think we're going to win the game? No.
He's a
Did I think we're going to get?
doctor. Loms, he's a doctor.
Did I think we're going to get? So I thought it was going to be a draw. To be honest with you, I thought, okay, we're going to come back. Something will happen. But it's so true how they say about footy. Like, after you score a goal, the first 5 minutes are the easiest ones where you can concede. Because literally, Atletico Madrid scores. You could tell that their mind thought, okay, in the bag. And literally, Inigo goes on a crazy solo run, plays the ball into Lewan, and Lewan, just an absolute moment of magic.
Oh, what a goal.
Chest into a left foot volley. That's just world class stuff. Like, that's not Hansi Flick at all. That is just Lewan turning back his clock, and absolutely fantastic finish. And then, then the tide just kept turning after that. And then Ferran Torres, I got to give the guy credit. Listen, am I his biggest supporter?
You rip him steady.
Going
All
into
the
the
time.
season,
All the
You
time.
rip him steady.
going into the season, I wasn't a big Ferran supporter, but I think he may
Understatement.
have found his niche. I think he's just a super sub. I think some guys like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer,
They made a living of that.
that's what they specialize in.
Yeah.
Coming in because he's a pacey, he gets in behind, he runs at tired legs. It seems like that's where he excels the most. But man, what a header, what a goal. Fantastic goal. And then Lamine is Lamine. It's very
Deflection,
scary.
though. Deflection.
But still, though, it's a very weird how good he is for a 17-year-old. Like, I don't say this, I see at 17, I knew of him because we know him from South America. But if you're just comparing their resumes at 17, is a step
What are you doing right now? What are you
at the
doing right
moment.
now?
It's true, though. There's a long way to go. Many things can happen. Will he remain as hungry and focused when he signs his contract and he's making 15 million euros a season? We don't know. I can just tell you from what I've seen from a 17-year-old, he is the best 17-year-old that I've seen
He seems level-headed, though.
in my life.
Seems like a level-headed, hardworking kid.
Yeah. So we'll
I
see.
guess you never know, but
Yeah, we don't know. But as of right now, it looks like he's destined for top 10 of all time.
Lou, I think Atletico needed Carm on the bench because at 2-0, he would have been yelling at everybody to get back at half.
but you
Bunker
think Simeone is not? That's
first
what's
5.
crazy.
No, but honestly, if Lewan doesn't have that moment of magic, I don't think that comeback gets started at all. That being said, in the Atletico second goal, there's a clear handball in the build-up again. And I'm not sure what VAR does in La Liga, because when Madrid needs a VAR for a PK, double touch.
I'll fight you on this because they could have had 2 PKs this past game. Real Madrid.
No. I'm saying in terms of like they need Barca to drop points.
I know,
There's
but Real
literally
had 2 hardcore PK shouts.
there's
and they
literally
didn't
a
get any of them.
handball. De Paul swings his arm out like away from his body, cuts off a pass. Atletico obviously goes on the counter like 20 seconds later, and they score. But is the purpose of VAR not to check everything that happens to a play leading up to a goal?
And as far as I know, the rule is any handball that leads to a goal is not a goal.
Yeah. So they score, and literally all the Barca guys, because it's really easy to tell when there's something happened, because like there's 7 guys running towards the referee to argue about it. So the Barca guys are convinced it's going to be a handball. So they even have like the ball ready to replay from where the handball happened. And the referee just comes back and he's like, goal. And Inigo Martinez lost it. Like he like went insane because it was a clear handball. But I don't know. I don't know VAR. Like
On the VAR topic, it almost made it into the show today, but it didn't. There was a wicked clip, if you haven't seen it, of Gus Uruguayo. Gus, give us the correct pronunciation. Poche. Gus Poche over in Australia, who goes off on VAR and how, like, what's the purpose, and ruining the game, and offsides by millimeters, all the things that we're seeing here. I just saw it yesterday. It's a really good clip. Look it up if you haven't seen it. Lou, Madrid, almost a little bit scary for them this past weekend, but I mean, still a 2-horse race now. They ended up winning 2-1 over the weekend. What did you see over in the Madrid match that really stood out to you?
I saw Kylian winning the Ballon d'Or because he is hilarious. You give him, well, I mean, Salah's in tough now. I think it's between Rafinha and Mbappe. How could it not be?
You just said he's winning the Ballon d'Or. Rafinha's still the odds-on favorite.
I think so. I think Real is going to get to the finals, is my prediction. We'll see what happens. But nice to see Tejan get in. Got to start, because God forbid he played a minute at Inter, and we need this for the national team. And like I mentioned before, 2 crazy handball shouts. I think one on Vinny. But, to go back on VAR, we don't know what handball is. And I hate the fact that it's different league to league. I think this is the issue we're getting. In Italy, anything that touches their hand is a handball. It's crazy, especially against Juve. I said it. But then, in
That's
Spain,
our problem.
I mean, it's not our problem, but
You
I
sound
feel
like
like it
Mota.
happens steady.
You sound like Mota.
We've been slighted on VAR this year. They say we've got the most calls against on VAR. So definitely not our problem, because Thiago Motta and Giuntoli are a problem, but we'll get into it later. But 2 crazy handball shouts, and Mbappe's brilliant. Courtois was pretty sweet, played a good game.
Courtois stole 3 points again.
He didn't steal. I mean, he made his saves he's got to make. He's a world-class goalie.
Just like up because of the
Oblak should have made that save on Ferran Torres' header.
But
right?
Courtois is amazing, man.
He is amazing.
had to step up because of the national team drama that's going on right now.
Yeah, crazy.
That's crazy too.
But
The other
he's
guy
right, that
just
guy.
quit, eh? He just quit.
He's right. They just roll out the red carpet for a guy that.
Yeah, he quit. Like,
Yeah.
Courtois literally said, like, I'm not going to, like, I don't care to be part of the national team anymore. And all of a sudden, this guy gets the first job, and now he's the starting keeper. And then all of a sudden, Courtois just says, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll come back. I'll come play. It's like
Belgium is a mess, eh? That is a mess.
It's like a reality
Like
TV show.
it seems like a circus. Like even
It's
I
like a
saw an
reality
article
TV show.
recently.
It's like I'm watching the Kardashians when I'm talking about the Belgian national team. It's ridiculous.
Shout out to Hulu, eh? We'll partner Hulu. Like, hit us up.
Yeah. If they want a partnership, eh? If they want me to meet a couple of them, I don't have a problem either.
But even the drama with Courtois just follows him everywhere. I was reading that he's got a baby mama in London from his time in Chelsea who he hasn't been paying. Like they're going to be homeless, not paying the mortgage on their flat, and like I don't know who's in the right, who's in the wrong here. But drama, like you said, I feel like the Belgian team is just surrounded by drama all the time.
How come? Like, don't they just crush chocolate on their couch?
Great.
And Stella Artois.
Yeah, great. Great.
And
beer.
Stella's. Life should be good for them.
What?
It's definitely not though.
What more you need? I don't know.
Yeah, what more do you need?
It's
And like, why do you
crazy.
like out of all the girls in the world, Courtois, why do you have to take KDB's girlfriend?
Serious.
Like, come on. Like the best player of your national team. Like, there's no need for that.
Ego. Let's shift gears here. Let's talk EPL. City again, dropping some points. Arsenal pulled out a victory, narrow victory over Chelsea. United dominating. Shout out CT. United 3-0 victory. And then City, as I mentioned, 2-2 stumbled against Brighton. So that 4th place is really up for grabs right now. You got Villa, Brighton, Newcastle, City, and Chelsea all within 4 points of one another. How do we, Lou, how do we see this 4th place shaping up? Because I think it's safe to say that the title is all but wrapped up in England. But how do we see this fourth place? Who's grabbing that final
Do you
spot?
think
Although there may
Nottingham-
be some more. They may get more than 4. But let's assume 4 spots right now in Champions League. Who's grabbing that 4 spot?
I think they get 5
I think so too.
already. Yeah, which is crazy. Can Nottingham drop a little bit? I think what are they 5 points clear of fourth?
Something like
They're
that.
5 clear of Chelsea, 6 clear of Man City.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I mean Aston Villa, they're still in Champions League too. That's got to hurt them. Newcastle's been doing well. I really think it's a crapshoot, but I want to see Chelsea and City in Champions League. Who doesn't want to see them in Champions League? But Aston Villa has done well, so we have to give them credit.
I want the smaller teams in there. Although I do want, we're going to talk about Red Bull Juve in a bit, so maybe I'll park my comments right now.
Team though.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Like, what do you mean by smaller team? Because they all spend 250 million euros every transfer window.
Yeah, that's fair.
When you say smaller team, like we're not talking about Udinese here.
Or Bologna.
Like freaking Nottingham Forest bought like 12 players in the transfer window. It's a new team playing. So I think we need to define small because I don't think there's anyone in the Prem that's small anymore.
Smaller EPL team.
Yeah, the smaller fan of Instagram followship, maybe. Yeah, but it's going to be a nice race. There's something happening in that Manchester City camp. Like, I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of it, if it'll ever come to light. But man, they don't even score anymore. Like, what happened to like the Man City of 5 minutes in, 2-0 Man City, brace, first 15 minutes. Like, they struggle to score. Defensively, we've always known that maybe Pep doesn't set things up in the best way. So, like, if they were dropping points because they're tying 2-2 or 3-3, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, just Pep being Pep. This is like they can't score. Like, it's confusing to me how with all that attacking prowess and probably the brightest attacking mind as your coach, and they cannot figure out how to score goals. So,
come to an end though. Everything comes to an end.
And it's crazy to say, but I think they might be cooked. If they're not scoring goals, I don't see how they're going to make that top 4. But like you guys say, it's confirmed that England's getting the 5th spot. Right?
It's not confirmed, but they're well ahead on the coast.
But they're well ahead of Spain. I'm pretty sure I read that.
And what teams do they have left? They still have who?
They still have Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
League. They still have,
but only one in Champions League, right?
Yeah, they still have Man U in Europa. Right,
Yeah.
They still have who else? And they still have Conference League teams too.
The Europa favorites, surely.
United are Europa favorites, probably. Yeah. So it's
no, they're not. Stop, are they? You guys are crazy. They just beat
PT
Leicester.
will love that shout out.
Leicester, who's going down the championship, and we're gonna celebrate it.
Yeah.
Come on,
we're not celebrating anything. We're not celebrating anything.
United is just as bad as Juve right now. No, worse.
Wow.
Worse. They're in what?
13th. They sit comfortably in 13th from the drop zone. So their fans can be excited that they guaranteed Premiership football next season. So good job, Manchester United. But you want to know what? It took a Serie A player to turn Manchester United around. Dorgo.
I know.
Dorgo in Europa League, masterclass. Like him and Bruno put on a show. So
card there on the breakaway there.
That's a small club player. Lecce. Shout out Lecce with
Lecce's a tiny club. Like
yeah, that's like a church club.
No, stop.
From your house.
They play on the dirt field.
They play on the cow's pasture. They play on the cow's pasture with the nails in the cleats like the 1940s players.
Guys, speaking of
so are you asking us for predictions?
Give me a prediction. Give me the 5. Let's go with 5 since let's assume they get that 5th spot.
Okay, so with they get the 5th spot. It'll be Liverpool. It'll be Arsenal. It'll be Nottingham Forest. Will keep it. They play exciting footy, man. Need a lot of young guys. Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi has been one of the ever since his Chelsea academy days. He's been the way everyone raves about that guy. He's certified baller. Is he all up there in between his ears? We don't know, but the guy's talented, super talented player. So I'll say Nottingham Forest will keep it.
So you need 2 between Villa, Brighton, Newcastle, City, and Chelsea. Newcastle fresh off their first trophy in 70 years.
I feel like Chelsea drops out and Newcastle and Man City make it. That'd be
right. I got Chelsea, City, and 4 and 5, and I do think Not now.
Seguro, eh?
On-
Seguro.
Seguro.
They just have depth and they're not in any competitions. Like
You want to know what? Seguro like gills at the poker table. Seguro.
Seguro.
Just
He's
pay your
playing with good
blinds.
hands.
Pay
But
your
that's Lom's
blinds.
too, eh? I was at his table in poker. That's Lom's.
Pay your blinds. Get as far as you can. You're not going to win, but have a good time at the table. That was gills. Seguro.
Until his buddy
Oh.
comes and asks Flavio for a dark tequila. You guys hear that?
No.
You didn't hear that?
Well,
Gills'
we had-
buddy came. He came late in a trench coat, slick back,
The
white
guy who was
hair.
sitting next to me at my table.
Yes, yeah, John is his name.
Yeah, and he came in. He paid his blinds the whole time he was gone,
Yeah,
and then he rolled in and just sat down and won a hand in 45 seconds and got all of them back.
all of it. And he was just telling the dealer what to do.
Yeah.
Just a shark, an absolute
Yes,
shark. I
sir.
was worried right away. But Fab Capoli had come to give me a drink, right? And so whatever, I took the drink, and he goes to Bart. What's that guy's name? And Bart goes, Fabio. He goes, hey, Flavio, come here. He goes, can you go get me a dark tequila? Fab doesn't even know this guy. Fab, a good guy that he was, he went over and he asked, and they don't have dark tequila. He's like, hey, sorry, they don't have dark tequila. He's like, oh,
It's a very specific order. Like
yeah.
it's as if that guy was at Penna's wedding and was at the tequila bar at Penna's wedding.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you want a reposado? Do you want blanco? Do you want a worm in it? Do you want a tequila worm? What are you looking for, my friend? And then we had shout out to Andron, because I know Andron's a listener of the pod every week. Andron went to a poker all you can drink open bar and asked the guy for a margarita.
At the Princess at Highway 7. And
Margarita. And the bartender was hilarious. The bartender just looks at him and he goes, Margarita. And he starts looking at like, how can I make a margarita? Like he doesn't even have the things for it. So then guess what his margarita was?
What?
He goes, tequila, no salt on the brim. Didn't even care to put salt on the brim. He just splashed it with like Mountain Dew. This tequila with a little shot of Mountain Dew.
where did he get
Wicked.
Mountain Dew from?
I don't know, from his fountain or whatever, maybe 7-Up or Sprite.
Just a Baja Blast.
And he just shot it in the glass and he just slid it over with conviction. Like, here you go, margarita.
He
And
did like the
Andron
Great
took it.
Gatsby? Did like the Great Gatsby?
Andron took it and he brought it over and I was like, that's not a margarita. I'm like, what the heck is that? Yeah, but shout out to Andron. We were dying of laughter while we were
missed
eating
that.
dinner that this guy had the audacity to ask for a margarita.
And for context, for those listening out there and who didn't tune in last week, we were at the Vaughan Soccer Club poker fundraiser in honor of Jody Forno's Truly. So this is all the things that went down at that amazing event for an amazing cause, but amazing laughs nonetheless. Guys, let's turn our focus here to the Serie A. Inter pretty much clinched the title at this point. Like, congrats, Rick, at this point. Big win away at Atalanta. Atalanta could have easily blown the Campionato wide open because earlier on, Napoli, got points away at Venezia, relegation Venezia. And so had Atalanta won at home, we would have had a three-way tie for first. Instead, Inter clinches their, 21st, 22nd Scudetto.
Here we go. The reverse jinxing is so hard right now. Look at
And
this.
then I guess the weekend is also headlined. So that's one big headline. And then the other big headlines are the heavy defeats at the hands of Juventus and Juve and Lazio. 5-0. Lazio took, and that was a huge matchup with Bologna. Because that propelled Bologna into the last Champions League spot in fourth. And shout out to Bologna. We got to give the smaller teams, I won't call them the little teams, the smaller teams, a shout out here, because if you guys remember, they started crazy slow at the beginning of the year. Terrible in Champions League. Thiago Motta left, went to Juve. They brought in Italiano from Fiorentina. It looked like it was a disaster for them at the beginning. And then Castro and Ndoye just took over, and they are in some of the hottest form in Italy right now. So they are, as of this weekend, in that coveted fourth spot over in Italy that, Bologna, Juve, Lazio, and are all battling for. Ooh, I'll go to you here, and I'll let you pick. You want to talk about the title race, or you want to go off on? I mean, at this point, like we talked Juve because they're big team, but we're
Why
not
do we talk
performing like
about
a big team. Yeah, why
Because
do we
they have
talk
a lot
about
of
that? We need to
Instagram
talk about
followers.
other things.
Yeah.
So you pick what you want to talk about and what you saw
I
here
hate this.
on the
I hate that
weekend.
I gotta talk positively about Inter again, but Inzaghi is world class. He is a world class coach. Like he outcoached Gasperini, who Gasperini gets the upper hand on a lot of coaches. When it comes to tactics, Inzaghi deserves all the credit in the world. He's adjusted. He even plays Carlos Augusto in the 3 sometimes, which I think I would never guess coming out of Monza when I had him in Fantacalcio. What a snipe he was! But just an excellent team. Could have been, I think, more of a lopsided game. Thuram should have scored early. What a ball from Lautaro. Delicious, and they just go about their ways, and they're gonna win again. Still in Champions League. Napoli, it looks like they're really feeling the pressure because they could have lost late. I don't know if you guys watched Venezia Napoli. Could have easily lost late. Not Venezia was a force late in that game. But what is it? 4 points now for Inter? Looks like it's theirs. I'll be honest. Congrats, Rick.
They're 3 points up on Napoli.
They're tripleta bound right now.
Because Napoli tied. That's right.
3 points.
3 points.
What if they win another one, guys? You're not going to hear Rick stop about it forever, man.
I mean, we still don't hear him stop talking about it forever now. So like, there's no difference at this point. One
You may be
tripleta,
right.
two tripletas. Like it's all this.
Does it get enhanced? Does it get enhanced if they win it again? Or
No.
Okay.
It gets
Does
enhanced
he
for
wear
a
more
bit.
interclothes if they win another one?
Not possible. Not
It's
possible.
impossible. Okay. Does he have more Inter hats in his closet to wear to functions if they win another treble?
Who's
He
more
has
the
more
guy
Inter gear.
him or the guy at your poker table?
Buddy, the guy on my poker table had a jacket, I think from the social club Inter Toronto club. I think the jacket was from 1982, maybe.
Sick Nike one.
Sick Inter jacket. It was sick. And he was also a shark. He just sat there pretending like nothing was happening. And then he just go 3,000 and he just push it in. And then you're just looking at this
You
guy.
don't
Like, who
trust
the
those
hell
guys.
is this guy? And then he would flip over his cards and it was like, you raised pre-flop. You had a 5-6, but he hit a straight. And you're just like, this guy's better at poker than me. He's just better. I don't know what it is about it, but he's better. Yeah, but it's not over yet. I know what Loms is trying to do. I know what he's trying to do.
What am I trying to do? What am I trying to do?
You're trying to get the gypsy gods behind you to reverse jinx Inter from their Scudetto. Because if I know you well, my friend, I think you might hate Inter more than you love Juve.
No. But it's close. But it's close. It's close. For sure.
Like it pains you that Inter's going to win another Scudetto.
Yeah, like I'm one of those guys where they say, "Oh, you gotta hope Italy does well in Champions League." Yeah, I hope Italy does well in Champions League, but not Inter.
No,
Inter
I
can
want
take.
Inter to go to the finals and lose 4-0.
Okay, I'm fair. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Actually, that would bring me joy because we always watch the Champions League final together.
Yes. So yeah.
Although Rick might ban us from the house at that point.
He won't. Churipan for everyone.
Choripan, chimichurri.
He makes a good chimichurri, that Rick.
You want to know what? I'll give Rick credit for the non-Uruguayo, non-Argentino. He makes a very good chimichurri. Shout out
He grew
to
up around enough of them. Like, come
Shout
on.
out to Rick.
Good.
It's a nice
He's an honorary
chimichurri.
one.
It's got good balance to it. Not too acidic. It's nice. Good job, Rick.
Speaking of chimichurri, Turk is basically
It's the Argentinian national team. There's no Italians playing on Inter.
And have they locked this up? I mean, we know they haven't locked this up technically, but have they locked it up?
It's certainly theirs to lose at this point. The wheels are falling off of Napoli. We've already kind of mentioned it. It's Conte's done as well as he could possibly do with that roster. You lose Osimhen in the summer, who's your best player. Cavaradona leaves in January. You don't replace him with anyone. Neres gets injured, which has been a big injury.
Big injury for them.
As Neres was actually turning the corner at the same time that they decided to sell Cavaradona. And then it just timed out so bad that Cavaradona gets sold and Neres gets hurt. And now they're trying to experiment, 3-5-2, they're playing Raspa, second striker, and they're struggling to create chances now. And it shows, Lukaku at this point in his career. Conte loves him. Wherever he goes, Lukaku will follow. But I just think of how did they let the situation with Osimhen get to where it got to? How did they let that happen? Because I think if you drop Osimhen into this Napoli squad right now, who I don't know if you guys have been following Turkish football, But Osimhen is legit.
We all know
Like,
that. We all know
yeah,
he was a
legit. But how
top
is he
striker in
playing
Serie
for
A.
Galatasaray?
Yeah.
How do you let him? How do you fight with him so much that you can't like work something out like you
Because
did
De
with
Laurentiis,
Maradona? Yeah, it's ADL, and we've spoken about it in the past. The guy's an absolute asshat. Like,
Yeah.
like you have two world-class players on your squad. Find a way. Okay, you couldn't figure out a transfer for Osimhen. Like, get him on your squad. Get him in a team. Like, how is it so bad that you're forced to loan? How does Napoli loan Osimhen to Galatasaray?
And now
How
he's
are
gonna
we in
end up
that?
at Juve.
Like,
yeah.
how are they there? Like,
Why,
it's
is this the final
ridiculous.
year of his contract?
That I'm not sure
Right,
of.
that's a good question.
No,
No,
it's
No,
I
they
don't
would
not
have
think so
to
because
because
he
find a
still has
deal.
that transfer fee
yeah,
that team.
yeah,
So the problem with it was that ADL is an absolute again asshat. He kept raising the transfer on all the Prem teams. So they just got sick and tired of dealing with the guy. They said, you know what, we're done with it. Because then he was even rumored to go to Saudi Arabia. It was like, okay, but I don't think Osimhen wants to go to Saudi Arabia now. But then Chelsea wanted him, and it was supposedly done. Like, it was just a matter of, does the player accept the move? The terms were all, agreed upon. And then all of a sudden, ADL like woke up in the morning, I guess on the wrong side of the cave. Maybe didn't have his morning spro, and then was just like, his transfer fee's gone up now. If you want him, it's this much. And Chelsea just pulled the plug and said, you know what?
Say that must be an amazing feeling to be an owner and just like not care about money. You have
Yeah.
so much money where you're like, you don't want to do, you want to go? I'll send you to Turkey for a year.
Literally, like your best player.
terrible business though. Like just like remember when Belotti was supposed to go from Torino for 100 mil? They held on to him for what? You're
Guys,
totally
Lazio
right.
got hammered 5-0 at Bologna, and it wasn't even close. I watched that game. It wasn't even close. Sorry, 1-0 at halftime, and they come out crazy flat, and then Bologna just absolutely battered them, turd them.
Bologna is playing
So,
some good footy, man. Some good
well,
footy.
Italiano was doing an amazing job at Fiorentina
Yeah, did
before,
well at Fiorentina too. His teams play good footy, man.
and then Juve gets absolutely battered for a second week in a row. Before I go into the Malta question, shout out Fagioli, obviously a chip on his shoulder that game, 2 assists.
What a
And
performance.
and this is my thing to focus on Juve. We'll give them 3 to 5 minutes of our time here. I'm not saying Fagioli was right, Fagioli was wrong, but clearly there is something wrong at Juve from the top down. There is something wrong. Malta has lost the change room. He's lost it. He's lost it because Danilo leaves and Fagioli leave, and they both say classy. They're like, I don't want to talk about it. Great memories, but it was a difficult period. That to me signals that he doesn't get along with people. I've read things because I follow, Juve as my club. I follow all those, random accounts here and there who pull things from various newspapers and stuff like that. There's people coming out saying sources in the locker room are telling them he doesn't get along with anybody. He has a so-so relationship with Yildiz here and there. So, it's hard to blame it all on Mota because I know, Lou, you place a big part of this blame on Giuntoli and the transfer strategy and where are we going with all this. But it's got to be even more at the top where, there's a lack of clear Juve DNA in this Juve squad. And to me, you get hammered in your biggest game of the season last week against Atalanta, and you come out flat again this week away at Fiorentina, who played a great game. So no disrespect to Fiorentina because Paladino's got them playing great footy over there. But there's clearly something wrong in this Juve DNA and identity. People are just not understanding the magnitude of the shirt that they're.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think it's tough just to blame Thiago Motta. Do I think he's heavily to be blamed? Yes, because how is it that he doesn't get along with this many players, right? It seems like he's an entity still
In
coaching
your
Juve.
first season, first season, how do you not get along with the club captain, Danilo? Like,
We
just
love. We loved
and the
him.
fans loved him. He did so much for Juve. Like, he's a Brasileiro that understood what it meant to play for Juve. And
It's
Star
not
for Brazil.
uncommon. It's not uncommon for coaches to come in. Maybe Danilo was seen as an Allegri guy in the past.
yeah, I
And
guess.
so like there might have been like a trust thing at that point. But in my mind, that's part of leadership. You're the coach now. You got to
Yeah.
build that relationship with that captain instead of just saying, no, get out of here. We don't want you anymore. Like find another solution. Like there's no leadership in this locker room. There's no leadership from the coach. There's no leadership from above. And it's showing in the results. And now there's a real risk of Juve not qualifying for Champions League.
Yeah,
It's
and
legit.
we've talked about this that Juve out of halftime has been a really poor team, right? And that is the coach to blame. It did look like this weekend there was a team that didn't want to play for their coach. They have gone down 1-0, and their response has been one of the worst responses I've seen from a soccer team. There is no response, no fight, no grinta, as they call it, to do something. And it's like they're content with this, and it's sad. Do they want him out? But I think they both need to go. Thiago Motta and Giuntoli both have to go. It can't be that Marotta leaves and Inter is just skyrocketing forward, and we've been terrible ever since. They get Thuram and Çalhanoğlu on freeze, and who do we get? We get Timothy Weah on 11 million.
Lloyd Kelly, 18.
Lloyd Kelly, 18 when we're selling the Bournemouth guy. What's his name? Huijsen. We're selling Huijsen because we need to make money. And he came out too and talked about it, saying that he wanted to stay and that they told him straight that we needed to make money off of him.
He was very vocal about his wish to play for Juventus. Like, he loved the club, and Juve was like, you're in the eyes of us, you're a surplus for the books. So when you're looking at young talent as just like surplus for the books, then I think you've lost the plot as a club. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it all about like the Juventus next gen, and they got some gems from that? Like, wouldn't you want? We've said all season that Bremer got hurt, and Juve is missing him, and it's a big loss. And of course, it's a big loss. Bremer's a superstar, but you had a teenage center back prodigy who everyone knew he was going to be like the next up and coming center back, and you just let him walk because you wanted a surplus in your books.
Maybe the books are just so fried right now.
Minors.
I don't know. Maybe the books are just so cooked right now because of the Ronaldo deal that we did years ago. I don't know. I'm speculating.
Stuff with that
I don't know. I'm not even saying shady stuff. Maybe we're just in a bad spot financially because of the Ronaldo deal a couple of years ago, and now we're still playing catch up. And so these young guys, we got to sell them. But it's hard to say. Like, you see guys like Fagioli leave. Okay, it's short. Small sample size, but doing okay at Fiorentina. Rovella gone at Lazio. He's a pillar of their starting 11. Moyes Keane, he needed a change of scenery, and Moyes is paying dividends this year for him. But to me at this point, Lou, I don't know if you agree with me, but to me at this point, I don't see Juve qualifying for Champions League at this point. Like, if we're going strictly on form, not roster, not name, not pedigree of club, if we're going on form, Juve will not be qualifying for next year's Champions League, and that will be a big problem financially, because then we'll need to offload a bunch of Yildiz is probably gone. We'll need to sell him, but I don't see it on form. I don't see it happening.
No, I agree. We just lost 4-0, 3-0. How could I say otherwise? How can I defend this team? It is painful to watch. Simple as that. It's painful to watch.
Fourth place still, Penna and Lou. Who's getting that last spot? Update this week.
In Serie A?
Serie A last spot. If you were a betting man.
Bologna right now is just playing good footy. They're focused on the league. I agree with you guys. Like, I've been part of soccer teams my whole life. Like, if this guy has this arrogant ego to him, like, is it going to be in the 30th week now? He's just going to turn around the locker room. Like, guys are going to trust him and believe in him.
No, it's going to get worse is what's going to happen.
Like, if anything, it's going to get more sour, because now he's going to feel the pressure of that Champions League spot. He's going to become more of an ass.
So wait, should they have fired him? Should they have fired him after the last game? Because to me, I was shocked that they backed him. And now they're like, the Genoa game's critical in 2 weeks. Like, buddy, the games were all critical these last few, like 7-0 in the last two weeks against Atalanta and Fiorentina. Direct
Champions League to a team that lost 7 to Arsenal. So
could he have been sacked this past week?
Yes.
If you just go based off the performances and what you're hearing, because you cannot tell me that the executives wearing the fancy suits don't hear the stories coming out of the locker room. Guys are going away on transfers, guys that have come from your academy system, your club captain, and these guys are refraining to speak about Motta. Like, you cannot tell me that they're not hearing all these rumblings, and then you're still backing him, which is like, now the players are even against the executives.
But their backs are up against the wall, Penna, because it's the same thing with Motta and Koop Miners. Motta keeps backing Koop Miners because he stuck his neck out to sign him. And totally picked Motta.
Nico Gonzalez as well.
If he fires him, Lou, you're saying he should have been fired. Penna fired
on the book.
But the problem is, like, can Juve afford to pay another coach that's not going to be there? Like, right? Like, that comes into play too, right? Like, can you guys afford to pay another coach for, I'm assuming his contract's what, 3, 4, 5 years?
We'll talk about that in the hot takes. We'll talk about that in the
So
hot
it's
takes
like,
in just a little
can you
bit.
afford that? And especially with the threat of not making Champions League, can you afford to run that risk? Like, are you so confident that you have someone in-house that can step in and guarantee you top 4 footy? Because it's a huge risk that if you pay him 20 million out and then you bring in a guy and it doesn't work and you don't make Champions League, those books are cooked.
Yeah, but I disagree with you because it's not working right now. It's not working right now. So we've all been players in locker rooms.
Yeah.
And when you're in that locker room and he is like a dark cloud and a bad energy in that
He's
room,
the elephant in the room.
you remove that and you bring in the caretaker manager, the Primavera coach, whoever
Bring in
next gen,
Montero.
bring in Montero, Pablo Montero, and
Absolutely not.
at least that breathes a new life into the locker room because at the end of the day, it's just 9 to 10 games. That's it. Like you just
Bring Zizou for the final 9 or 10. No,
guys. We said 3 to 5 minutes on you, but let's move on here.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's move on. Nations League this week. We're on the international break, guys. Canada taking on Mexico this Thursday. So Canada's 3 goalkeepers for the window. Let's run through the roster, and then I want to get your starting 11 for this Thursday and your prediction. They called in 3 goalkeepers: Crepeau, Tom McGill, and VSC alum shout out Dane St. Clair. A little bit surprising, no Jonathan Sierra Tom McGill over Sierra. In the back, Serie, Bombito, Cornelius, Davies, Alistair Johnson, Ali, Richie Larea, who's had to be replaced due to injury, Waterman, and Jamie Knight LaBelle, probably selected over Kamal Miller from Portland, who's been a staple on the squad the last few years. In the middle, we got Ali Ahmed, Tejan Buchanan, Chouanier, Eustachio, Ismail Kone, Oso, Schaffelberg, and Nico Seeger, York U alum, shout out. And then rounding it up top, we got Jonathan David, Promise David, another VSC alum, shout out Promise. Newly, I guess we won over the dual citizen battle, Daniel Jebison. Newly minted Canadian Daniel Jebison, Kyle Laren, and fresh off a brace this past weekend for Minnesota United. There's Olu rounding up the front line over there. Guys, how do we see this game playing out against Mexico out at SoFi Stadium in California this Thursday? And if you're Jesse Marsh, what lineup are you putting out there to start? Luca?
I'm definitely going with Dane, and that's not a bias.
Let's go.
Yeah, he's for sure our number one. We thought he would be our number one by World Cup time, and he's proven that. I mean, I think Crepeau isn't even the number one at Portland anymore. And we should maybe shout out that Pantemis. Yeah, he had a double PK save in one of the games, so he could have maybe been the third. But it's definitely Dane. I got Ali right back with Bombito, Cornelius. That's easy. I say Alphonso Davies at left back right now. Tejan on the right. I know you guys aren't going to agree with me here, but I do believe it should be Nico and Eustachio in the middle because Kone is a little out of form. I don't imagine he's going to do that. He's probably going to play Eustachio and Kone because of familiarity. And then I got Ali Ahmed on the left side because he's been playing. I think he's got 8 games under his belt with CONCACAF Champions League. I think Schaffelberg's only played 1 game so far.
Schaff's barely played.
Yeah,
super sub. He'll give us good minutes off the bench.
He's the Ferran of Canada.
No, he's
calm it down.
He's the maritime Messi, guys. Get it right.
I hate that. And then Joe David and Laren.
You hate that? Sorry, that's a wicked nickname.
Yeah, it is.
Amazing.
And what do you got up top, Lou?
Joe David and Laren.
Prediction, Lou?
I'm going to say Canada 2-1. I got faith. I think, the good thing about our Canada team is the continuity, and we're always playing, similar guys, and I respect that from Jesse Marsh, and he's done a great job, let's face it, and we got a chance.
The lineup, we almost gunned it, Lou. You said Segur, which I think he'll opt for Kone at center mid because you kind of already mentioned like they've played big games together in the midfield, and when you're playing with a midfield too, I think having a little continuity. I think Nico's has to do a little bit more, get more kind of caps under his belt.
I don't think he'll have a part to play in this game.
Nico,
sorry to interrupt, because Kone can't be in top form right now.
And Kone's not going to play 90, so Nico will for sure have a role, and us knowing Nico will be ready for that role.
And also too, can't understate his grinta there in the middle, especially in what will probably be, as it always is, a very hot, spicy. That's a better word. Caliente match with the Mexican opposition here. So
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. Go, Pena.
No, the Mexican media is already doing what the Mexican media does. I don't know if you guys watched they're predicting that this will be the turnaround for the Mexican program. They're very vocal, they're somewhat delusional if you ask me, because like they've accomplished nothing in the last 5 years, but they speak as if they're like a global powerhouse still. The reality is Canada are the better team. Canada are the better team. And I think the fact that Mexico has that ego to them and that arrogance will hurt them more than
history. I think they have that history, right? More than
exactly. But if you look at the squads and the form that the players are in, Canada is going in better form. So if Mexico treated it more as like we're playing an equal side, I think Mexico would be better off. Defend a little bit better. Can we counter them a little bit? Can we play maybe in a shell and see what Canada has? But I don't think Mexico will do that because of their arrogance. I think Mexico will come in and they'll bomb bodies forward, and we know that Canada on the counter is deadly, right? So I just see it as like the ideologies clashing. And I just think that it'll work out perfectly for Canada. So I also have Canada winning. I was going to say 2-1 too. So I don't know if we can have.
You guys can pick the same thing. You know that, right?
So
you can pick the same thing.
I also have 2-1 Canada.
Is there an argument that can be made? Is there an argument that could be made that one of the newbies up top, Promise David, Daniel Jebison, should get the start over Kyle Larin? Perhaps not Jonathan David, obviously.
No.
Kyle Larin maybe not in the best form right now, but again, in a big match, you lean on that experience. But you got to think in domestic form, Promise David has been banging goals left, right, and center over in Belgium. But this would be his first cap. So a first cap to toss someone in the starting 11.
Hard to throw a first cap against Mexico in SoFi, which SoFi will be like a Mexico home game, unfortunately.
But I can't wait till he scores off the bench.
Let him come in when needed. But I just think you have to opt for the guys that have been in these situations. That's why I think he'll go with Corne. I think that's why he'll go with Larin. Players that are familiar with these surroundings, with these environments. Like, is Promise ready for it? I think he's ready for it. But you're not going to give a kid his first cap against Mexico. Like that's.
Let's talk about Promise just a little. Let's spend a couple minutes here because we know the kid pretty well. Going back to on soccer club days, just like the craziest. Like, talk about somebody grinding and jumping contract. He was in Estonia at one point. Malta. Like, talk about a guy just keeping at it, grinding. You know the kid well from his time. Shout out to Anthony Vidori, friend of the pod, Bond coach, who has always talked about Promise David being a top baller, going back to when I was training 2002s and he was training the 2001s on the other half. Tell us what you remember about Promise and why you think this is so well deserved for him.
Yeah, Promise always showed us a little something. I know there's a story at Montbird where they played one of the top Montbird teams, and he was dominant in that game. He was a little inconsistent as a kid, but I think that was because he was a little skinnier. He put on some weight. He's a lot stronger, faster now. But I give him all the credit in the world because he just stuck through it, right? I'm going to say it straight, okay? I didn't expect this to happen. We looked at other kids on that team who we thought would be professionals. I thought he was a very good player for sure, but you look at little things and mental strength and how he can get through it, and he definitely had it because he battled through Malta, Estonia. I think he came back to the States, was in Croatia before all those, and he gutted it out and worked through it. And you look at these kids, and me and Franco were talking about it yesterday. Sometimes those kids who are good at 7 years old aren't always the best kids at 17 years old, and we've seen it firsthand how many times, and these crazy dads who think their kids winning the Game Awareness Invitational at 8 years old and they're going to go pro, and they're posting videos of them going pro because they can shoot the ball hard and high at 8 years old. I know I'm going off here, but that kid did it. He did it at the right time. He stuck through the mental toughness and the mental battle to get there, to get to that next level. And Lombardo, who was a professional, that's half the battle of making it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Every kid, especially mentally, matures at a different stage, right? And for a kid like Promise, maybe it didn't maybe it didn't click, when he was 15, 16, 17. Obviously the skill set was there that when it did click in his mind, he was able to put it all together and it was able to come to fruition for him. But everybody is ready technically, mentally, tactically at different stages in their life. And if all of those things don't come together, sprinkled in with a little luck too, because you got to be lucky, you got to find the right coach, the right opportunity, the right club, the right environment that's going to believe in you and play you and all that sort of stuff. But shout out to him because he is a story of perseverance and just putting it all together and capping it off with his first cap this Thursday against Mexico in a huge Nations League semifinal.
No, it's sorry. For every story of promise, there's the 500 stories of the kid that didn't make it past going to Estonia or Malta, right? So it's a typical journey for a Canadian footballer. Unfortunately, now things are changing because now I think the value of a Canadian footballer is increasing thanks to the likes of Jonathan David and Fonzie and these guys.
For sure.
But this is a typical journey. Do you want it? Obviously, Promise wanted it enough where you can imagine his living situation in Estonia and Malta and these places, right? So the mental, toughness that he had to know that that's what he wanted, even though it didn't look, it looked bleak at times. For him to continue pushing is amazing. So congrats to him. Hopefully he comes in and has a big role on Thursday.
And you guys all know I feel like it's kind of on topic. You all know my journey and where I had a lot of success at a very young age, always selected for the national teams a year up, 2 years up, U20 World Cups, Atalanta, then with TFC. When I got released from TFC, my journey ended and I had an opportunity for a short 3-month contract in Finland. And I was like, am I going to go to Finland? Like, at the time I was a stupid young 20-something-year-old. And I was like, Finland has a soccer league? Like, I knew nothing about Finland. And it was a short 3-month stint. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And, at the end of the day, you never know if you stick with things and you take that opportunity because, like you said, Penna, I'm sure the living conditions in Estonia and Malta, they probably weren't ideal. That takes some real mental toughness to be able to break through and to be able to something that I wasn't willing to do when I was like, I'm not going to go to Finland. Maybe it was a bit of a, an ego thing for a young kid, and mentally I wasn't there the way he is right now. You know what I mean? So it just goes to show you everything happens at different times for different people. And you just have to be ready when they do happen. Super quick because we're running long here. The other semifinal is US Panama. Quick prediction and from both of you. Go.
Nothing USA. Panama has struggled. I think they've won one of their last 7 matches. They scraped by Costa Rica. I got
That's
USA 3-0.
Yeah. That's a walkover.
Let's switch gears here. UEFA Nations League. We got UEFA Nations League coming up. We'll talk about the big one that's close to our heart. Obviously, 4 quarterfinal matches. We got Netherlands hosting Spain, Croatia hosting France, Denmark hosting Portugal, and Italy hosting Germany. All time, Italy, I think 15 wins, 13 draws, 9 losses. Don't quote me on that. I think that's the stat on Italy-Germany matchup all time. Classic tale of, I feel like there's nothing, especially our generation, where we witnessed 2006. Berlino, prendiamoci la coppa. But Italy, Germany just hold a special kind of matchup in my heart. Italy's got Donnarumma, Meret, at the back, Pastoni, Buongiorno, Calafiori, Cambiasso, Comuzzo, Di Lorenzo, Gatti, Ruggeri, Udogi. In the middle, Barella, Casadei, who's on good form over at Torino right now. Fratelli, Ricci, Robella, and Tonali, fresh off a trophy at Newcastle. And then up top, King, Luca, Maldini, Politano, Raspadori, Capocannoniere, Retegui, and Zaccagni. I don't really think it's too much of a debate. Up top in the number 9, I mean, Retegui is our Capocannoniere in Serie. Moise, we finally have a battle for number 9 when we were lacking one for such a long time, right? 2 guys in form, Kim, Retegui. What do we see here from Italy? What do we see from this game? And how do we think this goes, Lou?
Just a question first. Sorry, Lou. Did Acerbi let go of Retegui from his pocket to make the trip?
I think they're rooming together. I think Spalletti had to room them together.
Let him go to the game. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go, Luca. Sorry.
No, Germany, it's a tough matchup. And it means a lot because it puts us in an easier group if we win for qualifying. And we all know the troubles we've had in qualifying lately.
No.
So this will help. I think losing DeMarco is a big one. That hurts us, definitely, because I mean, I guess we plug in Udogi there. We don't have Cambiaso as well, I believe. So we do Udogi there. I'm going to go a little crazy here and say maybe we play with a back three with Gatti, Bastoni, and my boy Ricky Flowers. Calafiori, and then you put Dilo on one side and Udogi on the other with Tonali, Barella, Ricci. I think Ricci deserves some love. And I know you're going to think I'm crazy here, but I throw in another midfielder to play underneath Retegui. It's probably Fratesi, or you play Barella there and play Fratesi a little lower, which they have done before. It's a little tricky.
You have Gatti over Buongiorno at the back?
Yeah, I do.
Start?
I do. I think Gatti's been great. Gatti's been great for you. One of the positives for sure. A little tired, maybe could be the issue.
Prediction?
Got 1-0 Italy.
Old school result. Yeah, it's. I mean, you guys are saying it nicely, but let's face it, Italy has won most of these big matches against Germany. So I know you guys don't want to say it because you don't want to jinx them, but so I'll say it for you guys. But
And there's Germany winning 3-0. There's
Bart,
Germany winning. Thanks a lot,
question, who's Bart cheering for?
Portugal in this one, no? I think he's going for Portugal in this game.
In this game when it's Germany Italy.
I think he goes for Portugal when it's Italy Germany.
I generally don't know who he cheers for in the situation.
Ask him tonight. I'm seeing him tonight.
He might just pull up with whoever wins with their jersey after the game. But it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a really, really good game. I think Italy does enough at home. I think Italy does enough. So I'll say 2-1 because I don't think they'll get a clean sheet on Germany, but 2-1 Italy would be my prediction. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching as a neutral. I know you guys can't.
I bet.
Don't have that lens. You guys don't have that lens. Yeah. But then I get to watch this game as a neutral, and then I have to watch Argentina, Uruguay, where my heartbeat will be elevated to levels beyond belief. So
no Messi though, no Messi, so you're good.
No Messi helps them, if that makes sense at the moment.
You think so?
Because they'll play Alvarez and Toro.
Yeah. Okay, maybe you're right.
Yeah. So in this, obviously Messi is an alien. He's the best. But in this situation where he's coming off just starting MLS and like he's already had his minutes monitored with Miami, like he's not in midseason form. I don't want Julian Alvarez and Toro starting together against Uruguay. Like that's who I don't want. So
sick haircut though, eh? He's got wicked do Messi right now. He looks like Belky from Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pull up that pic for. Oh man, half-volley hot takes. We got to go quick on these ones, guys. Capello criticized Guardiola, saying that he ruined world football, similar to the revolutions that happened with Saki's Milan and previous revolutions of footy. He's saying Guardiola ruined footy and in turn Italy's footy because now everybody thinks they have to play out of the back. That's the only way you can play. And so in his mind, Guardiola ruined footy. Is this half volley on target or is he off target? And before you go, I'll let Penna go first because he's a big Pep guy with Barcelona. Guardiola did answer him in the press conference this weekend because they asked him about it. And they said if he listens to the noise, and he said, I listen to everything. I hear everything. And I need to give Capello a big hug. That's what he said.
Was that a Pep accent?
Yeah, well, it was my attempt at a Catalan.
Was that Pep from Catalonia, Tiki-Taka, Barcelona, Paella? Yeah, that was good, man. Tiki-Taka, Xavi Nieta. So the word ruined is so harsh, I think, but he modernized football and showed us how to play in such a beautiful way that now I just think it's reached a level where it's too much now. Like we always say, you need to have a system in place and a philosophy that your players allow you to play. Now we have mid-table teams that are trying to, like the one where the goalie plays the center back, like in the 6, and it's like
Brighton.
Yeah, like, hey guys, like your center back doesn't have good feet. So I don't know why we're playing the ball to him in the 6 and we're asking him to break a high because if I'm a striker and you're playing a ball in the 6, I'm salivating, right? So it's like, okay, now you're giving the ball to a guy. Like, not
You're
everyone is
salivating because Lons is going to press him, right?
because you're going
Not
to
because
press
you're
him and
going to
I'm going
press
to
him,
get
right?
I'm going to cut off a pass. No, of course I'm not going to press. That's for players that don't have my
No,
first
one
touch.
every 4 you press, and then you yell at us after we've been running the whole game. And then you go,
Nice.
are you guys serious? I'm like, "Pen, I'm
Why aren't you
exhausted.
pressing to me?
I'm
I know I
exhausted."
haven't run for the last 25 minutes, but I've decided to press now. Yeah. So that's the part where it's like we've lost a little bit of like the directness and like, so now it even allows coaches to set up a defensive game plan a lot easier because like there's no element of surprise. Like you cut a film of a team, you watch a game, and it's like, oh look, every single time he's going to do this, they're going to play out of the back like this. So now you're already adjusting your defensive plan, knowing that this is happening. So I think we've lost a little bit of the element of surprise in footy, where it's like, hey, I don't know. Sometimes the center back plays direct. Sometimes he skips a line. Sometimes he dribbles out. Like it's just always now this. It's like everyone's like playing. Now the Pep style has become the generic, where when it first came out, it was the new and the beautiful and the free flowing way to play. Now it seems like everyone's trying to do it. So I won't say the word ruined, but it has hindered the sport a little bit.
Lou, Penna's saying bring back the kick and run. Do you agree?
No, I'm not saying me kick and run. Like I'm the last guy to play kick and run, but it's like you have to. Since we're talking about
adapt.
lockers, we always talk about lockers. Some teams don't have the locker to play
That's
like
right.
Pep's Barca.
That's
So
right.
don't do it.
And I
Play
think that's why you're seeing now, like Juve against Atalanta 2 weeks ago. And there was another example that escapes me in a different league. We had like 67% possession and we lost 4-0.
Yeah.
Like, because what's the point?
Yeah, you need purposeful possession.
Because I'm sure Atalanta said, I'm sure Gasparini was okay with you guys having the ball because he said, what's going to happen? The ball's going to get into Coop Miners in the midfield. Something's going to happen. Like, let's let them have it. And then we'll counter them with Lukman. And it worked out to perfection.
Yeah.
So these savvy coaches are now using this to their advantage because they're bringing out a team that knows they can't break down anything. Let's get their back four advanced up the field, thinking that they can play possession on us, and then we'll counter their faces off.
Lou,
And
do you
that's what
agree?
happened to Juve in that game.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to agree, but I fully agree. And you look at Spain this Euros, right? Spain, who is tiki taka. They didn't play tiki taka.
No.
They got forward. They got it to their wingers. They got it to Nico Williams, Lamine, and they were fun to watch. And I think the knock he takes is because it's boring football, Pep, but it was efficient football for long stretches. He's in a little bit of a rut right now. And I think that's his knock, Pep. I will say this is that he doesn't get the best out of lesser players. He gets a lot out of those main guys, but then you get an injury like Rodri and guys like this, and now he's battling a little bit, right? So, I don't think it's ruined football. I think people need to stop adopting that way when it doesn't work. Like, I'll give a little example in my world. Everyone sees the inverted fullback, and now everyone does it. If you don't have a fullback that can play inverted, why are you doing it? That guy's not technical.
If you don't have
a bruiser,
if you don't
he
have
can
Trent
tackle.
Alexander-Arnold, you cannot go play an inverted
So,
fullback. Unfortunately,
I don't know. That's my issue.
Lou, you still with us? We lost Lou.
Yeah.
His
I'm
Wi-Fi
back.
kicked in. He must have
We
not
lost
paid.
Lou.
Yeah, he
What
must have
happened?
not
I'm
paid.
back here. Am I back?
Oh,
So
here we go.
finish your thought. If you don't have the inverted, Penna said, if you don't have Trent Alexander-Arnold, you should not be playing inverted
Yeah.
fullback.
So just back to that. He hasn't ruined nothing. I think he revolutionized football, Pep, and he deserves a lot of love and respect. But people need to stop acting like they can do it. He had kids from La Masia that he was able to do that with, and that's why he created one of the best teams we'll ever see.
The best team ever.
Wow, we could argue. Maybe that's another day, but the Milan
For
team,
next pod.
Saki's in
It
Milan.
is another day. It is another day.
Okay.
Yeah,
One
no,
episode.
he didn't ruin it. He didn't ruin it.
We'll save the Jonathan David hot take. We love you, Jonathan David, but we'll save that because we need a good amount of time to be able to discuss it. The last one, Tutto Sport, Lou, claiming that Red Bull is lining up a bid to buy Juve, bring back Agnelli as president, and line up Klopp as their coach, because Klopp is now within that Red Bull system as their global director of football for all their group. We're seeing these groups pop up, Red Bull, City Group, Palermo they bought, and, all the teams around the world. I think Juve, one of the last family-owned big clubs. You here for it? Not. Very quick. We don't have a lot of time.
I'm definitely here for it. We need change. We need change, and I'm all for it. It means more money for us. And who doesn't want Klopp? Are you kidding me? I would take him any day of the week.
You talking
Feta?
about for Mota? Really?
Yes.
You guys are so excited about Mota in the summer. How it's all gone off the rails, eh? Wow.
We were.
Life came at Mota real fast, eh? It was all roses and peaches with Bologna.
I said this on the first episode, and there's a viral clip of Allegri, and I hate this whole thing of Juve where like it's either Allegri or nothing. Like we're done with Allegri. Like he did what he did, but there is a viral clip of him who said there is a real difference between coaching to play beautifully a mid-table team and coaching to win at a club like Juve or Milan, Inter, whatever the case may be. There is a difference, and I think Malta is quickly finding that out. Guys, that's a wrap for today's episode. Amazing discussion, guys. Appreciate all of the listeners out there who tuned in. Again, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe on your, on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. Make sure you set up those notifications to get these. No sponsor today. So we're out of pocket on this one, guys. We're out of pocket on this one. Hit us, hit us up if you're wanting to partner with an up and coming sports or I should say footy podcast. And appreciate all the love, guys. Keep the DMs coming. We read all the messages. We love it. The comments. I'll say this: Matthew Vieira texting me. He's watching the episode and he's texting me, or he's watching the clips and he's like, wait until Nuno Mendes puts Salah in his pocket. And I'm like, buddy, go stir up some conversation on the content. Don't text me.
He texts me too.
So guys, keep the comments, keep the DMs flowing. We want to engage with that conversation. We can't have everybody on the pod. The sign up sheet is done as of 1:10 on Monday. So thanks for listening, guys.
I've got one shout out.
Yeah, go.
I know we're running late, but I have to because Ontario Cup futsal happened over the weekend. And I just want to shout out listeners to the pod, Matthew Rios and the 9 de Octubre family. Congratulations on the Ontario Cup victory, and they're off to nationals in Saskatchewan. So best of luck to them. They're all listeners of the pod, and
Raheem and the Cubans
Raheem and all the boys, Jesse, all these guys, big time ballers. Congrats on a 3-peat in futsal Ontario Cup, which is not easy to do.
So, we're waiting for our intro song. We need some.
And Ave2 con la punta siempre.
Shout outs for you, and maybe tell us about the fundraiser, the futsal on the futsal front. Tell us about the fundraiser that you were just at.
So my boys were on me. We just had a fundraiser, a legacy cup for Josh Yaramilo, who we all know passed away suddenly recently. But it was really nice. We went out to support. I haven't been in that community for a while, but I felt the love a little bit that I was an all right player. Yep. Got a little love and support from the boys. My team was really good, though. They won. We're going to post a video for sure, because between those guys, they showed that they could be futsal Spanish League players and outdoor players, which I have a lot of respect for, right? The last one to do that was Adrian.
And if Ontario Soccer is watching, Luca was there for a fundraiser. It was a
Luca
fundraiser.
Wasn't there. Luisito was there.
Luisito Alejandro Hernandez Rodriguez el segundo was that.
Lucas. They call me Lucas in that community.
Lucas.
Peace, guys.